Yikes. 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing rubber frauds. Just like Bucker said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the flow playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, inspired have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor. Today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick in 5 Reasons Sports. I got Brady Hawk. You can follow me at Brady Hawk 305. Alex Toledo. You can follow Tropical Blanket. Will be joining us at some point during the show here. Miami Heat win. They get a win on this road trip, 114-98 after a tough double overtime loss, game that they should have won, game that they were winning by 17 in Sacramento. Didn't know how they would respond tonight, and they responded well. And the important thing for me is the players in particular who responded. That's what we wanted to see tonight, because it bodes a little bit better for the future than some of the things we've been talking about lately. So we get to the player of the game, obviously the play of the day, and also defending the house as we go forward here. But I want to speak on the overall effort here first, Brady, before we get into some of the specific players, which I thought was good. I thought from the very beginning of this game, look, this is not a great Golden State team. This team has been struggling since a fast start to the season. They're now 18-17, so they're middling, kind of just like Miami is. But Steph had 31 in the game, 7 rebounds. He made 8 threes, so it's not like he played poorly. We saw Jackson Davis. We'll talk about some of this stuff as we go forward, but he had a couple of dunks that were impressive. Buddy Hield's been really good this year. He was not great tonight. He was 4 of 12 off the bench, did have 8 rebounds and 5 assists. But just overall, I thought if you took a look at some of the changes that Spoelstra made today, which was what we talked about in the last game, some of the players that he played a little bit more, including the one who's going to be my player of the night, Nikola Jovic. We'll get to that in a second. I just thought overall, this is kind of what you wanted to see, because this thing has been spiraling off the court right now. And if you were to lose another game on this road trip, particularly after the way the last one went, then it would have gotten even worse.
So I put it on our off the floor feed on our Discord the other day, where I was talking about kind of the direction of this team, that it feels like without Jimmy, they're in this middle ground where they cannot lean into, they have some defensive pieces, they have some offensive pieces, but they're not talented enough to lean into both sides of the ball. That they kind of just have to pick a direction. And it's like, do you pick the Haywood, Keyshawn Johnson direction and say, we're going to try to get it out the mud through these type of games? Or do you go with your youthful offensive players and you lean into the Joviches, to the Jaimes, to the shooters like Burks, and you lean into that direction? That's pretty much what you saw in this game. I mean, they pretty much just leaned pretty much over this last 2 games, because if they would have won the game like they should have a night ago, they did it behind putting the ball in the hands of Jaime and Jovic and working out of that and working everything else off the ball. We see in the starting lineup tonight, the guy who logs the least amount of minutes was Haywood, who I don't think was had a bad game, but it's just the case of leaning into a certain style. They're playing faster. They're leaning into, we're going to talk about Jovic as a player of the game, as you hinted at, but like Jaime, the way he came out the gate and just started this thing off by just attacking, that game to me felt like the most Jaime-like movements and just freely playing, reacting, pivoting, working his game that I've seen since last year. And that's important. I just think that if you're going to, have this conversation right now where you're leaning into your youth, they got to be playing freely. And it feels like the one change that Spo has made is to allow them to do that. It's no longer Jovic and Jaime playing catch and shoot threes. No, like we're past that. This is them controlling the offense, fast break in, half court. You guys are going to make decisions and we're going to live with it. And both those guys are making some pretty good decisions right now. So I just thought the way they played, the way they leaned into it, we've talked for so long about how this team is not good in transition, but I almost feel like this version of this team just plays so much better when they're freely playing on the break and doing this type of offense. So I thought it was a good overall effort. I think the guy that we're not going to talk about as player of the game, because we're going to talk about the 2 young guys, Duncan Robinson tonight, I just thought was fantastic. I thought he blew the game open multiple times in this game. The way he came in, short stints. He started out, I think, in his first stint, he was 3 for 3 from 3. Just the way he'd come off these curls, the way then they start reacting, throwing doubles. He's pocket passing to Bam. He's lobbing over the top to Ware. He just controlled things, and we don't give the guy enough credit for the fact that for some reason he was playing really well in the starting lineup with Tyler. All of a sudden they change up the starting lineup. Duncan gets knocked out. He wasn't even the one that was playing bad. He has to start playing in this 6-man role. And it doesn't matter what role you put him in. He's just still an effective offensive player. So credit to him. I just thought he played a really great overall game, and it was a good win. It was a needed win than a night where you did not need Tyler Hero's offensive excellence.
Well, and he had 8 assists, so you're right. I mean, the pocket passes, and I'll go to this, and then we're going to go to the player of the game, and I will get Alex in here. Just play Duncan and Bam together. Like, just play them together. I just don't. I know I made the point, and people go back to this, that they needed to separate them a little bit because Bam had become so reliant on him. But at this point, if you're trying to get Bam going, just play the two of them together. This is who he's most comfortable with. And you look at Bam tonight, he was 9 of 14, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Wasn't a huge game. It's a very solid game. And I think you'll take that. And again, I think the comfort level with Duncan is where it's at. And to win like this and to score 114 when you only got 14 from Tyler on 4 of 14 shooting is a very positive thing. But let's get to it because the player of the game, yeah, Duncan was really good. Bam was good. This guy, Jaquez was good. I thought this guy was great tonight.
And now it's time for the A Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
Just give him the minutes at this point. I thought one of the things that went wrong in the Sacramento game was Spo stopped playing Jovic, and he needs to play him. I don't care if it's a starter, what the role is specifically, but again, he's gaining confidence the more that he plays. He plays with an aggression. He turns the corner and goes. And there's determination behind it. It's not some of the stuff we see from some of the other guys where they don't seem to know where they're going. And the other thing is when he sets his feet, Nikola Jovic, he looks good with the threes. I mean, tonight he was only 2 of 8 from 3, but he had 2 critical ones late in the game. And, he was 6 of 9 from 2, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Alex, look, this is kind of what we talk about with him. This is the skill set with him. I know, I've said, I think from an offensive skill standpoint, he's right behind Tyler. It's just that how are you going to unlock all of it, and how quickly do they unlock all of it, and what role do they put him in? But the role he needs to be in is playing. I don't really care where it is now, just playing, because you're going to get, I think, more of these nights the more that he plays.
No doubt. I'm 100% with you. And at the time when they took him out of the rotation, I think we all knew it was a short thing. And now he's not only back in the rotation, like you mentioned, playing more than pretty much ever outside of that stretch last season at the end when he was a starter. And not only is he playing just as much, if not more than ever, like you mentioned, they're using him out there. He's utilized in a way that he really hasn't before. Like as far as one of the core players who they are giving the ball to, and it's not, run every single pick and roll, but it's a little bit of everything. He's running the pick and roll, especially you see it a lot with Ware, right? But just in general, he's a good pick and roll handler and loves to play with the big to be able to pass it to if that's the read. He just you see his game come out so much more when he's attacking the way he has been as of late. I feel like one thing you've been seeing a little bit more is some of the stuff that, frankly, I wish they would do for Bam a little bit more often, that I feel like I talk about almost too much on this show, is the kind of just a very casual inverted ball screen, whether it's on or off ball. Like the other team will switch, and then they give Jovic the ball, and then, the other team sees that it's the 6'11" dude with the small guy on him, backing him down, and Jovic always makes the right pass. And we all know that his passing is probably his best skill outside of, like, pushing the ball in transition. And it's awesome to see these parts of his games come out. And like Brady mentioned, not always just have to rely on the spot up 3, which has been, pretty solid too. But that's not like all you want to see from him. So I'm glad they're using him more, especially in this time without Jimmy and in this kind of in between time where you don't know what's going to happen with the trade and all that. Like, this is a guy who you can obviously, I think, look at and be like, okay, we're going to, give him a little bit more responsibility. Like, he makes great reads. He's 6'11". He can shoot, has gotten better at driving and finishing, a lot better. I will say he's made a lot of strides there. I think he still can get better, because I think at some point they're going to stop sending two on the mismatches and just be like, hey, go ahead and put that up, right? And he's going to have to make them pay eventually. But he's made so much strides there as it is. So I think it's cool to see, like, Niko go through the ups and downs and come out of it better, right? Where, like, he was a starter last season after such a tough start to his career, tough start to this season, gets taken out of the rotation altogether at one point, and is now playing 34 minutes tonight and, putting together a nice stretch here. I'm happy for him.
One other guy I want to mention tonight, too, before we get to the play game. Alec Burks, 25 minutes tonight, made 3 of his 6 threes. It's funny. Sometimes he'll just find himself open in transition and nobody around him, and he just kind of sets his feet. There's not a lot of movement to his shot. It's just clean. And he had three threes tonight, four rebounds, 11 points. We've talked about this year. We don't know why he hasn't been playing a little bit more, and I have to say it because we got to go through it every game. And look, actually, Tyler's efficiency was worse tonight, at least in terms of his field goal percentage. But Terry was 4 of 13 again tonight. So another of these kind of rough Terry games. 32 minutes tonight. Terry Rozier was second on the Heat in minutes tonight. Led the starting lineup, second on the team in minutes, but at least Burks got 25 of them. I want to get to the play of the night next, but Brady, we keep saying this guy should play more. This guy should play more. Now, obviously, they have more minutes available without Jimmy. Should Burks be taking more of Rozier's minutes on a consistent basis? Should Larson be taking more? Because Larson only got in at the end in garbage time tonight.
Yeah, it's super fair. I mean, I was saying it during the game that I every time this guy Alec Burks gets some type of rotation minutes, he plays exceptionally well offensively. It's like every single time. There's not many of these games where he gets like a long period of minutes and we're saying like, okay, we gotta like go to the next guy. Even I was just looking at some of his last few games. So tonight he has over 20 minutes. He's 3 of 6 from 3. The last time he was over 20 minutes was against Orlando the day after Christmas. He was 3 for 3 from 3. Game before that, he was played 24 minutes. He was 3 for 6 from 3. And you can keep going down the line. Like, anytime this guy gets 20 plus minutes, he's going to be effective from deep. I thought it was interesting, the minutes with Burks and Duncan, just because I just don't expect that to be a pairing we'd see a lot of together. And they were actually pretty good together. It just felt like they're just kind of leaning on and off the ball there a little bit. It just makes sense when you have Niko being able to be that connector and be that quote unquote point guard. They need to play him more. I just, like I said before, they have to pick a direction with this version of this team. You have to either go young and go offense, or you go in the mud and go defense. And I just don't think this team has the defenders on this roster to lean into the defensive side totally. So I'm totally in on leaning to your young bucks and go shooting. Anytime this Heat team's leaned into shooting, it's led to good things. So I like the mindset of playing 3 of your best shooters on the roster in the rotation together.
All right, Alex, let's get to the play of the game.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-Ray of the Play of the Day.
Well, okay. Where got posterized? We saw that. So that might get mentioned. Give him credit for
Bam.
standing in the way. So did Bam. I didn't, like you said, I didn't know Jackson Davis had hops quite like that. But I'm going to go to a different play here because I like the synergy. We mentioned Jovic. There was a Jovic lob to Ware, and from the 3-point line, or pretty close to it. And again, we are seeing those two players together. So there's going to be a push now, I know, to get Jovic in the starting lineup, the better he plays. And I feel like Spo is going to continue to lean into Jovic and Ware off the bench together. So it's not we're saying, okay, or at least not I'm saying, you have to start Jovic now, but it's just you have to play Jovic now, and you have to play Jovic with Ware as much as possible because they've talked about it. We've talked about it. It has manifested itself. You can see it. There is natural synergy between these two players. Everybody's still going to push for the Bam Ware thing. I get it. Okay. And I think that is something that at some point they've got to play around with to see if it's something they can go to in certain matchups. But, to me, Jovic and Ware, and to me, the key to Jovic and Ware, Alex, is Ware actually becoming what I know our guy Adele wants him to become and we haven't seen yet, is a better rebounder. I feel like if he becomes a better rebounder, then the Jovic Ware minutes become really dynamic because we know that's not necessarily Niko's strength, even though he had 6 tonight. That to me is kind of the next layer of this. But the two of them look like they know how to play together. Like and Jovic just talked about it. With Ware, it's simple. He's going to the rim. That's it. Okay, there's none of the complications there are with playing with Bam. It's no disrespect to Bam, but just the way it is. He's got to keep them together, right? Two of them?
No doubt. No doubt. I really like the combo. Like I mentioned before, he just plays really well with a big like that, and he's so athletic. With Jovic's passing, he can really put that ball in his hands in so many different ways. And, Ware, with his length, with his size, with his athleticism, has a crazy catch radius, and he's always by the rim. That's really the biggest difference between, him and Bam, is that even though everybody wanted Ware to come in and be a stretch big, Ware, it's kind of the opposite. He's planted by the rim after he rolls, right? Like he is always around. He's always in that area, whereas Bam kind of takes up a lot of different spots on the floor, especially when he's initiating and, being used as a hub, which he is a lot of the time. So, yeah, I really like the pairing. It makes a lot of sense. And, like, you bring out the best of Ware. And I 100% agree with you when it comes to the rebounding. And I think you can probably put it together with just defense overall, because I think the defensive rebounding is specifically the issue with him, is that, he doesn't box out enough. And, there is, of course, the strength stuff with it, right? The core strength, the lower body strength, all of that. That is, stuff that you just can't – you're not going to get through that right now. But as far as him getting positioning and just doing that work, that's something that could obviously be fixed and, I think be integrated to his game. It's just a habit thing. It's really what it is. I think he formed a bad habit of not boxing out enough because of his size and athleticism in the past. And I think now it's gotten to the point where, you're facing dudes who are stronger than you. You're facing dudes who are maybe not quite as athletic or long as him, but comparable, right? Whereas before he was such an athletic force, I think he could get away with it. Now you really can't, especially when you're already, kind of behind physicality wise. I think he really got to put in the work, right? Until you get that part of your body better. I think he's just got to do it. And if you talk about the rest of his defense, the thing that's bothered me the most that I always talk about with him is the jumpiness. He overcommits. He finds himself jumping multiple times. I think there was a possession tonight early in the game, and I want to say his first stint. I might not be 100% on that, but where he just jumped like twice in a row, and he just gets caught in plays like that. I think those are the nuances, right? Those are the nuances he's going to have to figure out. But I think, being less jumpy and boxing out, like those are two things that it's just about, getting the reps and drilling that down. I think, once he gets those things down, he's going to be a much better player overall, because I think their defense will be much more serviceable together. Because that's probably be the other thing that you'd point at with the Jovic Ware combination, is the defense has to be good enough, because if not, you see, a whole lot of zone, which is fine. Like, I like the Heat zone, but you don't want to have to over rely on it. Like tonight was a great example of what it looks like when it works, right? And last night was kind of the opposite, right?
You just went mute. I think you shut off your mic. That's okay. You muted yourself. Now I know where you're going with it, so that's fine. You know what? Do this, and I'll go to Brady because we're almost 20 minutes anyway. Let's do defending the house now, because I got one other thing I want to get to tonight.
And now it's time for our Defending the House segment, sponsored by our friends over at The Real Estate Shop. You can find them at realestateshopfl.com. That's with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com, or at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. This is Javier Iglesias and Amanda Martin. They help buyers and sellers in real estate. They're nimble and protective of their clients. They service the entire Tri-County area. That's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties with a proven on-market strategy. The real estate shop sellers earn the most money in the shortest time frame because Amanda and Javier have a deep understanding of the local market. So check them out. Again, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, realestateshopfl.com, or give them a call at 954-268-9812. And now, who defended the house?
I'm going to go a little bit off the board here. Our guy, Naveen Ganglani, who works with us occasionally, he's based in the Philippines. So he's up these late nights. He transcribed Jovic's quote from after the game. So defending the house sometimes can mean something else, which is they got to defend themselves for what's going on, this swirl that's going on right now, the Jimmy stuff on a daily basis. So this was Niko's interview after the game. I guess it would have been with I'm not sure if it was probably with Jacksonville after the game. We had a team meeting, talked about how we can inspire each other. Kevin Love was the one who was loud in that meeting and wanted us to be better. We knew we could win. We know we have a great team, like Spo said, a breakthrough win. That's what we needed. Again, if you're looking at why Kevin Love is on this roster right now, this is why. Not just the stuff that he's been doing, on social media to kind of loosen this up. Everybody knows he has a good relationship with Jimmy. So he's not taking shots at Jimmy necessarily, but he's just trying to keep things loose, keep them together. They don't have a Haslam in that locker room anymore. Kevin has kind of assumed that role, and Kevin has slid aside for wearing Jovic off the bench too, which is something else that you have a vet who's kind of understands his role. So I want to give Kevin a little bit of credit tonight for what he did, even though he didn't play. All right, Alex, you've got a defensive stat and I got a wake-up call. So give me the defensive stat. We're getting out of here.
Got you. So basically, like Brady mentioned earlier in the show, that they went, they leaned a little bit more offense with some of the rotation decisions and just kind of the style of play, which was a little bit more fun to watch. The Heat put up an above average offensive rating overall and in the half court. But most importantly, or more importantly, I should say, they held the Warriors to a, very bad offensive rating, 26th percentile overall, 17th in the half court, and did that while leaning offense and playing a whole lot of zone. And maybe it was good that, my mic cut me off earlier because it fits this segment more, right? Like the zone that they played tonight, I thought was just much more fitting than what they did the night before against the Kings, that frankly just spreads you out more on offense with the amount of shooting and, off-ball movement they have. The Warriors obviously have a whole lot of shooting and off-ball movement with Steph, and he was pretty great tonight. But outside of him, like they really couldn't get any offense going. We're playing multiple non-shooting.
He cut himself off again. What the heck happened there? I wasn't defending the house to get some sleep, but maybe I should have been. Anyway, no, we appreciate the stats. Obviously, Alex, that's it. We're ending this. C-urbanstaffing.com, realestateshopfl.com, insurancebylinet.com, prize picks. Use the code 5. Get some sleep, everybody. We got a night off, probably 12 Jimmy Butler podcasts. Listen to the one that Alex and I did one like 8 hours ago with Rohan that you should listen to. We've done, 4 guest pods on Jimmy. I'll probably do another one tomorrow, and then they play Utah in a couple of nights. Get some sleep. I'm cutting myself off.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad.